All right. So last week we talked about related and lookup value, right? So now before we go deep into that, can anyone tell me how related works and how lookup value works? Or can someone tell me the meaning of related and lookup value before we move further? Can anyone tell me what lookup value and related does? Anyone? We are all joking just now. Oh. Everybody was talking. Oh. Now nobody's saying anything again.
Okay, if I can remember, we look up value, and because I know I asked a question about that, so that's what's trying to make me remember. So the related value, that one you actually need what do you call this word again? I've forgotten the English. We
Cardinality.
treated it last 2 weeks. Yeah, cardinality to be able to use that. Why the lookup? You don't really need cardinality to use the lookup value.
All right. Okay. All right. So now back to that. Now you can see now when to use lookup value, when there is no direct relationship between the tables and you want to retrieve values from another table, where you need a conditional lookup that involves multiple column or conditions, where related cannot be used due to lack of direct relationship between what tables. Now that direct relationship between tables is what is standing as what cardinality. Now comparison with related. Related works only when there is a relationship between the two tables, which is what cardinality. Lookup value can be used when no relationship exists or when you need more flexibility with multiple conditions. So now for today's class, we're going to be wrapping up with calculated column and we are going to be moving into measures. So now for today, let's talk about the if and switch. Let's talk about the if and switch. Right? We all know what if does, right? We all know the function of if, just like the way we did on Excel, if, ifs, nested if, and the same way we did on Power Query, which is our conditional column, right? Which is if, if, and else. So on Power BI, it is called if, and we also have what we call switch. We have if and what? Switch. Now, the if function in Power BI is used to perform conditional logic. It works similarly to the if function in Excel and allows you to evaluate a condition and return different results based on whether that condition is true or false. Now, we all know what if does, like I'm saying again, it's either brings a condition if the condition is met or not, either true or false. So now we also have the switch. Now the switch functions evaluates an expression against a list of values and return a corresponding result. It is similar to what? The series of if statements. Now, when we talk about similar series of if statements, what does it mean? Just two meaning to it. Series of if statement, what does it mean? Anyone? Let me not call name. When you call something series of if statement, what does it mean? Fatima, I can see you are on mute.
If Yeah, it means you can use as many conditions as possible, more than one conditions.
More than one condition. All right, good. So now that one, if you're using more than one condition, which is you're using more than one if statement, what does it mean? What's a single word for it? It's called what?
I didn't get that.
If you are using if you're using multiple condition, which is you're using more than one statement, right? So now, what is that condition? Like if we don't want to call it if, what do we call it as?
Ifs.
Good, ifs. So now on Power
Ifs, yeah.
BI, we don't have, oh, so sorry, Roots and Nana, I am just in the chat section. So sorry, I wasn't paying attention to the chat. I just saw it. So Ruth said ifs, Nana also said ifs or nested if. Both of them are correct. So now, moving on Power BI, we don't have ifs. We don't have ifs on Power BI. What we have on Power BI is, what's it called? Switch, right? And if we don't want to use switch, we use nested if. And as we all know, nested if is outdated. So it is preferably use what? The function, or should I say the DAX formula switch. So using switch as a replica or as a replacement of nested if and ifs on Power BI. Is that clear? The information I'm passing, is it getting to everyone?
Yes, sir.
All right. So now, before we go into that, let's try to get our now we have our revenue per cookie and our cost per cookie. Now let's try to get our total revenue, right? Our total cost per cookie, then we get our profits. Our revenue per cookie, total cost per cookie, and we get our total profits. So now what do? I'll click on what? New column. Right, I'll zoom in on this and I'll rename this to what? Total revenue per cookie. Now, total revenue by cookie. Now, how do I get my total revenue by cookie? My single quotation, like we all know, to call out audio columns, to call out my table, then to know audio columns in a particular table. So now the revenue per cookie multiplied by what? My units sold. And I click on enter. Then automatically, I have my total revenue per cookie. Full screen, please. I am on full screen. Someone saying full screen. Full screen in what extent? Or in what sense, I mean? I am on my full screen. Can you all not see my screen completely? Can you all see my screen completely?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now that's for the total revenue per cookie. So now the next one we're going to be dealing with now is what? The total cost per cookie. So new column. Total cost per cookie. Right? Total cost per cookie. Then what do? Cost per cookie multiplied by my units sold, and I click on what? Enter. Automatically, I have my total cost per cookie. And I have my total cost per cookie. So now the next one is now my total profit. So now that will be what? Total cookie profits. Then what do? My total revenue per cookie minus my total cost per cookie. Enter. Right? Now I have my total revenue per cookie, my total cost per cookie, and my total cookie profits. So now, like I said, we are doing the if statement first. We are doing what? The if statement first. So now if we check this amount now, we can see we're having from, let's start from ascending. Let's see how much we're having. Okay, so the highest money here is from $13,000, right? The highest money here is from what? $13,000. So now let's create a new column. So now the column now, let's rename it as what? Remarks. Right. So now remarks, which is what? If. Now you can see that my if statement, the logical test, right? Just like the same way we have it on Excel, the same way we have it on Power Query. Now, my logical test, which is the column I am using right now, will be my total cost, my total cookie profit. If the total cookie profit is greater than or equals to, let's start from 7,000, meaning those that made 7,000 above. Those people, the profit that was above, that is above 7,000, right? Comma, then in quotation, approved, or should I say above budget, right? Comma, then those is what's below budget. And I'll close my brackets. So now this first one is what if the condition is met, it will give me what above budget. And the second one is if the condition is not met, it will give me what below budget. If I click on enter, and I'm going to have this. So now I can see now those below 7,000 are getting one below budget. Now look at the 7,000 now. It's getting what above budget. Now, is there any question on if before we move to switch? Any question on if before we move to switch?
Yes, there is.
Master Bruce. But some bed rest shall do
Hello?
good.
Yeah.
No can do, Alfred. It'll be dark soon.
Okay.
You know me. I can't wait to tell
One
you.
can also achieve this using conditional formatting or conditional column.
Yeah, that is on Power Query.
Master Bruce
Well,
Wayne.
the one you're talking about is on Power Query. Now, I are doing this. Please, can you mute your background sound?
Yes, I will.
At least I'm waiting.
Okay. So,
all right. So now this you have been taught right now, right? Or probably, for instance, you are working on something and you, by mistake, you skip some certain things on Power Query, right?
okay.
So now all these you're learning, instead of you going back to Power Query to work on them, you can literally just do them inside of Power BI using
You cannot work on it here.
You get. So that's the reason you're learning the DAX formula.
Okay. Okay now.
Yeah. So now the next one is what? Switch. The next one is what? Switch. So now what column should we give the switch? Because if you check the cookie profits, people they made massive profits, right? $13,000, $12,000, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. So now what should we give them as switch? Because we are doing multiple conditions this time around. I want to take ideas from the charts. I want thoughts to come in. I want different answers from different people. We're trying to create a column for switch. What should we use as a column header? Allocate gifts. Okay. Rosemary. Allocate gifts. If I am correct. Okay. All right. So now, Ruth, you are from what state? Your surname is powerful.
Delta.
Okay. So now switch. Now on the switch function, we can't just use switch just like that, right? We have to come in with an expression before the the switch, the DAX function, or should I say before the switch function can work, right? We have to what? Use an expression before the switch function can work. So now what DAX expression are we going to use to activate the switch function? So now that DAX function is what? True. Now the DAX function is what? True. Now what does true say? The true expression allows checking conditions directly. Now it's going to check the conditions for you directly, meaning everything you'll be doing inside the switch function must be true. Even though a condition is not met, you have to create a condition for that thing. That's what create what condition for that particular thing. Are you getting it? So now the switch function true, comma. Now we have my value and we have my result 1. So now what do? I'll come back to a new paragraph, right? Because I need it neater. I need it to be neat. So now the value be what? If my total cookie profit, my cookie profit is greater than or equals to. Now let's start from where? 10,000, comma. Now what should we give them? Now I want the gift to come in one by one. I want gifts coming in.
Laptop.
All right.
Laptop.
So now the gifts we're going to be giving them is from something very expensive down to something lower. You know,
laptop is expensive now.
It's not as expensive as this smart screen. If I'm correct.
Oh, GLK, Mercedes, GLK.
Calm down now. As now, GLK long. I said expensive. You shall hear home electronics. You are saying GLK. Is GLK home electronics? Coming down. Any company that will give someone GLK, the true. So now let's start from a smart TV. And in quotation, let's say 65 inches. Okay, so now that's for that. Now, that's for the value. That's for the result. I mean, this is for the result. So now moving on to the next value. So now what do I need to do? Instead of me writing it again, I'll just copy it like this. Right? Break another paragraph, paste it. Then what do? I'll just change the amounts. So from 10,000, let's do it what? 6,000. So many those having 6,000 this time around. So now for those having 6,000, what should they give them? Okay, Reza. You think this is what Fatima gives your PM, the people, your customers? And Fatima, this is what you give your customer. So let's do 3,000 or 3,500.
What's that?
Let's do 3,500.
Pressing iron.
Okay, let's do it like this. Okay, wait. Is freezer expensive than washing machine?
Not really.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is.
Depending on the size.
It depends, though. Yeah, but it is.
Really? Well, okay. So let's do for 2,150. Let's do 1,500. You don't need currency, right? There is no currency. You don't need currency. It's going to since we are having them as number, so it's going to that's the reason we are writing them as what number. The washing machine. No, let's not go to hot plate cooker. Let's take it easy. Why don't we use hot plate cooker for the lower people? What about water dispenser? Water dispenser will come down again. So we have for 1,500. Let's do for 800. So what should we give for those having 800? Microwave. Potato is expensive. This Buchimix blender, favor, well done. You always watch TikTok, Abi. Buchimix blender.
Electric iron.
Okay, let's work with electric iron. Do you say the electric iron? Sounds funny.
Iron is iron, is electric. So
No, I said you said electric iron is funny. All right, so the last one, which is what, 500.
We have iron, no, so no be every iron be iron.
There are some iron that can take someone to heaven. So electric iron, and there is
The last one should be electric toothbrush.
I'm not doing anything electric toothbrush. Beg. I beg. I can't come and kill myself inside the bedroom. So electric iron, what else should we give them? We have electric iron. This is not the last one. The last one will be anyone lesser than 500. Any profit lesser than 500. I don't even think there's any profit lesser than 500 with this amount I am seeing here.
500 is the least.
Is that really? Okay, in that case, let's stop at 800. So now we are stopping at 800, meaning anyone lesser than what? 800 this time around. Now you can see now, number 6 is what? Anyone greater than or equals to what? 800. Now, because we're stopping at 800, we are not saying what? Anyone lesser than 800, meaning from 800 downward. Meaning from 799.99 downward, you'll be getting the last value, which is what? 2 star. Right? So I will close my brackets. We've tried. At least let's even forgive them. So if I click on enter, then there's it. Now can you see it now? There's something. We have 500. Yes, I'm correct. Okay. There's even 100. Now you can see it now. Electric iron, water dispenser, freezer, washing machine, smart TV screen, 65 inches. And that's all for that. So is there any question on Switch? Is there any question on Switch? I'm just seeing something on the group now. I don't know if it's Rashida or Rashida Ram. It should join back. So now, is there any question on switch function? Now let me show the function again so you see it properly. Now this is a proper view of the function of the DAX formula for switch. Any question on this before we move on to measures? Any question? Favor, Fatima, Laura, Nana, Ritu. Emmanuel. Okay, wait. Idet, you called today, if I'm correct. Idet, you called today. Okay. Is Emeka in class, please?
Yes.
Wait, Emeka. Emeka. You carry me go Abi. Carry me go. You change your name. You say you follow me talk. I don't know say na Emeka dey follow me talk. You change name for me, Emeka. Okay? I won't say much. No wala. All right, so now is there any question on switch before we move further? Is Shako in class today? I don't think so. All right, so now let's move on to measures. So now we've treated calculated column. We are done with calculated column, right? So let's talk about measures. So now let's talk about measure. So Favor, please read.
Types of DAX. 1. Measures. A measure in Power BI is
Sorry.
like a smart.
Sorry, we are only talking about measures, remember. We're only reading on measures.
Sir?
We are only reading on measures, just measures alone.
Okay, sir. Measures. A measure in Power BI is like a smart calculator that does math for you based on your data. It helps you sum, count, average, or calculate percentages and updates automatically when you apply filters or sliders.
So now, the measure is like what smart calculator. Let me know. Let's just go deep into it. Let's move to the practical aspects. So now, let's talk about measures. I will clear all this out. Now, what are the measures we have? Now, on the calculated column, can you see everything we've done now? Everything we did on the calculated column, can you see they are all visible on our table? Do we have access to them on our table, yes or no? Everything we did on calculated column, do we have access to them on our table, yes or no?
Yes, and yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so but on measures, they won't be visible on the table, right? They are only going to be visible to us on the data model, which is this part here, our data model, which is here, right? That is where we are going to have access to our measures. They won't be visible on the table, which is this one here. Here's my table, but they'll be visible on the data model here. Are we getting it?
Yes,
we-
yes, yeah.
All right,
Yes.
let me just come back. I can create my measure from my table view and my report view, right? So now let me just tell my report view, because as we are creating it, we are going to be visualizing it. So you all see how the measures work. So now the very first one is what? Sum and, okay, we're going to be talking about sum, max, and mean. We are going to be talking about what? Sum, max, and mean, right? So now, we all know what sum does now. We all know what sum do. When you sum, what does it mean?
You're summing up now.
Good. So when
You're adding up.
all right, when you use max and mean, what does it mean?
Mean.
minimum and maximum.
It's
Minimum and
minimum.
maximum. Good.
Mhm.
All right. So now we are going to be talking about them first before moving to sum x, max x, and min x. We are going to be talking about the sum, min, and max before moving to sum x, max x, and min x. Right. So now let's just deal with sum, max, and min. So now, like I said earlier, always select the table you are working with. Now, right now, is there any table selected? Have I selected any table?
No.
No. So now, remember now, where do we want to create our measure? On which table are we creating our measure?
Others.
Others. Good. So now imagine if I click on new measure without selecting any table, so what it's going to do? Now, where did you open the measure for me?
The number 1.
Inside cookie.
Which is cookies, yes.
I see. Now you can see the reason why I said you should always select the table you want to work with before you start working. So now if I come here and I select others, right, then I can click on what? New measure. Then I can see the measure opening inside of what? My other table. Then the name of the measure, I am going to rename it to what? Let's say total. If I want to get the total units sold, that's just the total units sold. Right. So now what do I do? Sum. Right. And we have our what? Column name. Now, I don't know if you've come across something like this before. Now you can see we're having 3 tables inside of Power BI right now. Now I can see the cookie type, the customer, and the order, and the others. Now inside the cookie type, these are the tables inside of the cookie type. I mean, these are the columns inside of the cookie type table. Now I can see the name of the table here, cookie type, and these are the columns. We're having just 3 columns inside of the table. Moving on to the next table, which is customers. We are having various of columns inside the customers also. Then moving on to the orders, we're having various of columns. So meaning which table are we using? We're working with. We're working with the orders table. Which column am I trying to locate? I'm trying to locate what my unit sold column. Locate what my unit. And you see now I'll click on what the unit sold, and I'll close my bracket and I'll click on what enter. Automatically, now you can see now what's the icon showing us? What's the icon showing us? What's the icon of this measure showing us?
Total units.
Calculator.
Total units sold. Total units
Yeah.
sold. Yeah.
All of you that are saying total unit, I will bite all of you. I said, what's the icon showing us?
Calculator.
Calculator. You said
All of
sign
you
up
just
a calculator.
total unit, total unit. I will bite all of you saying total unit.
Measure. Calculator.
All right. So now you can see now it's showing us what the calculator's icon. Now, what does it say here? Now, if you come back here, the measure in Power BI is like what? A smart calculator that what does math for you based on your what data. So now, if I want to visualize that now, what I'll just do is I'll call on my card. I'll call out my card and I'll click on what's total units sold. Okay, there is an error somewhere. Where's my unit sold? So now my unit, it is recognizing my unit sold as what? Text. Can you see the data type now? It is showing as what? Text. So how is it meant to show? It's meant to show as what? Whole number. So I'll change it to whole number. Now this one here, the structure. This structure is for Power Query. This structure here is for Power Query. This formatting is for Power BI. Remember that the structure here is for Power Query, right? While formatting is for Power BI. So if I come back here now, I can see my total units, which is what 1 million.
Your network is bad though. It's saturating.
Okay, wait, can you hear me now properly?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. So now I said before it was on text. My unit sold
is still saturating. It's worse now.
What's okay?
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, there's a problem.
Mute everybody. Let's see whether it will be better.
All right, now can everyone hear me properly now? If you can, don't say anything, just say yes in the chat. If you can hear me properly and my voice is not cracking, just say yes in the class. Okay, so now, like I said earlier, When I came back here, you can see it is giving me what error fetching data for this visual, right? If I click on save details, now you can see what it's giving me. Now, what's it saying? MDF script model 3,38. Calculation is error in measure other units. So this function cannot work with the value of a what type string, right? So now what I'll just do is come back here and see the data, how it is being the data type. Now you can also see that the data type is on what? Text. Now you can see we have structure and we have formatting. Structure is from Power BI. Hey, you are still breaking. Okay, everyone, hold on. Let me try something else. All right, am I still breaking like this? Am I still breaking? All right, now let me repeat myself. I said the data type now is showing on what? Text. Now, if you look at it now, we have structure, we have formatting. We have structure, we have what? Formatting. Structure, formatting. Now, structure is from Power Query, right? That's the structure of the data type you are bringing in, right? You're bringing in them as what? Text, right? And on Power BI, that is where we have formatting. So our formatting is for Power BI, structure is for what? Power Query. So now if I change the data type from the structure, right, which is like the root of the data to O number, automatically it is going to affect what? The formatting of Power Query. If I click on yes, now I can see that it is on O number. Now the formatting also is now what? O number. So now if I come back here now, I will have access to it. So now my total unit sold is what? 1 million. My total unit sold is what? 1 million. This is my total unit sold. This is my what? Total units sold. That's my what? Total units sold. So now the next one is what? Sum. The next one is what? Sum. I said sum, max. So now let's say we want to get the what? Highest units sold. Now my highest unit, so what do I do now? Max. Now, single quotation, then what? My unit sold column. And I was close my brackets, enter. Now this has given me what? My highest unit. So if I call on my card and I click on the highest unit sold from here, now I can now see it now. You can now see it, right? Now that's my what? Highest unit sold. That is my what? Highest unit sold. So now, I call that my max formula, my max function, which is one of the DAX formula we have in our Power Query. Now, instead of it, I call that my order table, which is the table I am working with. And inside of it, I call that my unit sold column. Why did I call it out? I am trying to get what the highest unit sold, meaning the highest unit that was sold is what I am trying to get from that unit sold column. Now, for me to get that highest unit sold, the function or the DAX formula I am going to use is what the max from function. And I'm going to use the max function from the DAX formula. Now, I call out the max function, open brackets, call out the table, which is my unit sold, and my order table. Then inside of the order table, I selected my unit sold column. Is that clear? Oh. All right. So now let's get our lowest unit sold. So new measure. So I'll rename the measure to what? Lowest units sold. So what? Mean. Then my single quotation. Then call out my what? Units sold from the other what? Table. Now close my bracket and click on what? Enter. Automatically I have my lowest unit sold. If I call out my card again and I call out this, now I can see that my lowest unit sold is what? 200. Now I can also see now this is for some, this is for Max, and this is for me. Is there any question on this before moving on? Any question on some, Max, and me before moving on? Any question? Okay, I'll take that as a no. All right. So now moving on is what we call some X. So now favor. Favor, please read. Oh. Okay, now favor, try unmuting.
Sum X. The function in, sorry, I'm having hiccup. This function in DAX is an iterator, right?
Yeah.
It's an iterator function that sums up the results of an expression evaluated over a table. Unlike sum, which directly adds up the values in a single column, SumX allows you to perform row-by-row calculations and then sums the results.
All right. So now I will make sure I explain the theory part of some X properly, because just like where we have some, Max, and min, the basic difference from some X with Max X and min X is just the name. They carry out the same function, but just different name. If some is adding, so now let me explain it properly. This function in that is an iterator function that sums up the result of an expression evaluated over a table, right? That's what an expression evaluated over a table, and it was iterator function. Now, unlike sum, which directly adds up the value in a single row, in a single column, some X allows you to perform row by row calculation. Now, that iterator, right, is coming in as either multiplication, subtraction, division, or addition. Now, meaning you are working with two columns this time around. You are what? Working with two columns this time around. Alfred is saying no sound. Please, is that true? Alfred is saying no sound. Is that true, please?
We can hear you.
So, Alfred, what happened? All right. So now, when you talk about, okay, let me just say it. Anytime you see X as a suffix of any DAX formula, right? X as a suffix on any DAX formula, it means what? You're working with two columns. You're what? Working with what? Two columns. And it's carrying out a row by row calculation. Meaning, if I'm working with two columns in a single table, right? That row, imagine the row is 500. Now, it is going to carry out a row by row calculation for you. First row from the first column, first row from the second column, second row from the from the first column, second row from the second column, third row from the first column, third row from the second column. That is how it's going to be picking it for you, one row by row. Let me not say one by one. It's going to be picking up for you what? Row by row, right? So now if the iterator is multiplication, then you are saying the first row multiplied by the first row. If your iterator is addition, the first row plus the first row. If your iterator is a subtraction, the first row minus the first row. That is how it's going to take it for you from the very first row to the last row. And it's going to carry out what? Row by row calculations for you from the two columns. Are you with me? Now, what do I mean? For instance, now you are having column A and column B, right? I am doing some X. Now, what you're trying to tell is, and the iterator you're using in that aspect, right? In that point is what's it called? Is either the iterator you're using is either multiplication, division, subtraction, or addition, right? Now you're saying, let's say for instance, the iterator you're using is what? Addition. Now you're saying column A, right, and column B. Those are the two columns you're working with. Now, what am I trying to say? Column A1 plus column B1, right? Column A2 plus column B2. Do you all understand what I mean by A1, A2, A1, A1? I mean A1, B1, A2, B2, A3, B3. Do you all understand what I mean by that, right? Right, good. So now you're saying column A1 plus column B1, column A2 plus column B2, column A3 plus column B3. Now that is how it's going to be taking it for you row by row till it gets to column A500. Right? Now, when it does it for you, when it has added those things row by row for you, then the total of each row, I'm talking about some now, for each row, when it has done the calculation for you for each row by row, and it has given you the total of each row, let's say column A1 and B1 is giving you 20, A2 and B2 is giving you 44. Now, what some X will now do is the total of each row, it is going to then sum everything up for you and give you as a total. Right? It's going to what? Sum up everything and give you as a what? Total. What math X will do is after it has given you row by row, then it is going to just what? Go through everything. It's going to scan through everything and look for the highest one for you. It's going to what? Look for the what? Highest one for you. Same as mean. Mean is going to look for what? The lowest one for you. And there will be in a new column. There won't be in a new column. Remember, I said card. Measure. Right? Let me come back here now. Helps you with what? Sum, count, average, calculate percentage, and update it, right? You can't have it on your table. They are not visible on your table. They are only visible to you on your data model. That is how, what's it called? Measures are. Now, if you come to the calculated column, now look at what it's saying here. Unlike what? When you create a new measure, now, unlike measures, can you see it now? Unlike what? Measures. Calculated column completed row by row, and the result is stored in what? In the data set, right? While measures, hey, Emmanuel is saying he's not seeing my screen. Is that true? Emmanuel said he's not seeing my screen. Is that true, please? Emmanuel said he's not seeing my screen. Is that true? All right. So now, these columns can be used for, now you can see it now, stored in your data set. But this time around, it is not stored, measures are not stored in your data set. They are stored in your data model. Right? They are stored in your what? In your data model. So if I come back here now, let's work on what? Some X. So now if I click on what? New measure. Right? And I try to say what? Total, or let's say total selling revenue. Now I want to get to total revenue. How do I do that? Some X. Now I'm going to call out the table I am working with now. The table is what? Order. The table I want to work with now is what? My order table, because all the U column I'll be working with will be inside my order table. Comma. Now my expression, how do I want to express it? Which or what iterator do I want to use? Now, what I'm going to use now is my what? My total, no, my revenue cookie, right? If I'm using multiplication now, let's use multiplication as my iterator. Multiply by what? My unit sold, right? I just want to get the total, right? If I close my bracket and I click on enter, right? So now you can see now my total revenue is here as a card. As a measure, I mean. If I call out my card now and I click on my total revenue, now the total revenue I am having now is 4.6 million. Now my total revenue is what? 4.6 million. Is there any question on some X?
So are you not trying to say the normal sum cannot, just like you need to multiply two columns together, normal sum cannot do that?
Yeah, normal sum can't do that. Normal sum is only going to request for a single column, while some X is
Okay.
for two columns.
Mhm.
Yeah. Any question? Okay. So now let's move on to max X. So new column. So now X what? Highest revenue. Now max X. Now the table I'm working with is my order table, comma. My expression now is my what? Revenue multiplied by what? My unit sold. If I click on enter, right, and I call out my card, and I click on this, my highest revenue now is what? 23.99 thousand. Did we all get that now? Is there any question on that?
Yes, sir. This one you have to get the sign, the currency sign. The other one, I know we're working with units, it's not supposed to have sign. So how did you transform everything to have sign now at the back of this one?
Now remember, we are working with money this time around. You know, the other one we did here was just unit sold. But this time around, we are working with the currency and the units sold together. So now you're multiplying how many, like, for instance, now, how many unit of a particular product did you buy, right? Remember, you're going to pay in what? You are paying in currency. Are you paying in number? No, you are paying in currency. So that's the reason it is giving us in currency. Do you get that? So let me try to
Yes,
check.
yes, sir.
All right. So let me try to change my currency to okay, don't worry, for there to be balance. All right, now let me ask a trickish question. How can I have access to my formula bar? How how can I have access to the formula bar? Does anyone know? How do I have access to my formula bar? Anyone? Okay. So now you have access to your formula bar. On Power BI, you don't have access to your formula bar, right? You don't have access to your formula bar. You only have access to your formula bar if you are using a calculated column, a measure, or a calculated table. These are the three ways you can have access to your formula bar. Calculated column, calculated table, or a measure. These are the three ways you have access to your formula bar. So now, let's try to get another thing with max x. So now, let's say highest highest let's say the highest profits. Let's say the what highest profits. Highest profit. Then what? Max X. My table will be what? Order. Comma. My expression will be what? Total revenue minus total cost per cookie. If I click on enter and I color my card, my highest profit now is what? $13,4800. Any question? People, I'm sure I've answered you now.
Yes, sir.
Any question?
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. My question is, how do you know when you are calculating for example, the total? You said the highest profit, and you now select the total revenue minus the unit of cookies. So how do you get those formula? Is it a standard formula to select to arrive at what you want when you are calculating for revenue, profits, and the total unit sales and all those stuff? Is there any standard formula to know whether you are multiplying or you want to subtract or you want to add?
All right. So now there's like the standard formula for that. For you to get a total revenue, for you to get a total cost, for you to get a total profits. There's like a standard formula for that. Right. And when it comes to the analysis one, depending on what the company or the client is requesting for, right? If you're trying to build a dashboard for the person and the person is trying to tell you, okay, now what you're going to be creating for me, the insights I'll be needing the highest profits, right? The highest units. When you want to know the highest units that was sold and stuff like that. In that case, that's when you use your measures.
Yes, I understand.
I've answered the question.
No, I understand the request by your clients on what the client wants. But my question is, how do you know those formula that you need to apply to arrive at what the customer is asking you? For example, what you've done now, you wanted to get the highest profit, and you use I think total revenue minus. Please, can you go back to the formula? The last calculation you did. Okay, now you are doing total revenue per cookie minus total cost per cookie. So the question I'm asking, is there a standard formula?
I answered you. Yeah, there's a standard formula for it. To get your total profit, it has a standard formula, meaning you have to subtract your revenue from your cost for you to get your profits.
Is it possible to get it? Because I don't have it. Because sometimes when it comes to these calculating measures, I usually encounter this challenge. How to get
Like profit equals to what? Total revenue minus total expenses. Can I see it now?
okay?
Expenses
Yes.
Expenses is also known as what? Cost. Revenue is also known as what? Selling price.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Welcome. So now, for the last one, which is main, I don't need to do main. We should all know what main does. Do I need to do main again? I'm sure everybody is smart. Everybody is smart in it.
I have a question, please.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused because I think if we have, I don't know if we have a column for profit on the table, and if there's a column for profit, why follow that formula? Why not just look for the max? We are looking for the highest profit. Why not just use the max function on it?
Yeah, you can use the max function. All right. Are you connected to it?
Come again.
Are you connected to any Bluetooth? I am to any Bluetooth.
I didn't get you the network.
I am hearing myself.
Oh, maybe because I'm using two devices.
Okay. Now what is the max function, right? You can get function, right? You can get Hello, can you hear me?
Please,
Yes,
please, it's affecting us now. Switch off one of your devices.
We were trying to explain something.
Yeah. Okay, good. I can hear myself now. Now, highest revenue is what the highest sale. Oh, Jesus.
He should switch off one of his devices, or he mute himself.
Can you just mute yourself? Let me explain it. When I'm done explaining, then explain it. All right. So now, the reason I used my highest revenue, right, which is my highest selling price, I can actually use the max also to get my highest selling price, right? But for proper understanding, right, for a proper understanding, that's why I use my max X for you to know how another way you can do it also. So meaning if I come out now and I change it to max, it's still gonna give me the same 23.99K because I'm trying to get the highest in a particular column. You get, so that's how it is. It's just it's everything are just basic. All right. So now, is there any question? Because we're going to be rounding up tonight's class now. So we're going to finish our measures tomorrow, where we're going to be talking about the count and the calculate function before moving to calculated tables. we are going to be talking about the count measures tomorrow and also the calculate function. So before we move towards calculated table. So is there any question before we wrap up with the class? Is there any question before we wrap up with the class?
Sir,
Hello.
it's
Yeah.
Laura, sorry. One question. I wanted to ask, can you
Can
give
I make
us
a contribution? Okay.
can you give us a document so we can do practice on at least one, just one for this?
I have dropped all the information I can give. I've dropped almost all my data set on the group. We should check.
Okay, thanks.
Can I make a contribution? Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Victor.
Okay. The question they are asking, like when I at the beginning I was making a request that can we have some data set that comes as a case study. So these things usually come as we ask the key performance indicators. These are the things in your dashboard and it's expected this. So and it is most of them are called measurement of central tendencies, and these are the things you are bound to see as we go ahead in analyzing data sets. That's my little contribution, though.
All right. Thank you very much. Any other person have something to say? Okay.